Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I love coming into a stream where I already have 10 likes. That means people are enjoying the conversation that's going on. So thank you so much for that. I certainly appreciate all of your support. I want to give you one quick update. And that update is that I got a message from my sister last night at 9:53 stating that my nephew had passed away. But with that, new life is beginning. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity yesterday to experience a really heartfelt, emotional moment in our family's life. But to say thank you for your support. So today we're going to be talking about the Standing Liberty Quarter. If you remember last week, we were talking about coins. We were talking about various elements of these things. And Eric said that this is one of his favorite coins. And so he loves things from this particular period. And Jack said, hey, you know what? I've got something that we can talk about. you want to talk about this? And I was like, outstanding. Yeah, let's do it.
A hold my beer moment.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we've got going on, which is really cool, is I'm going to give you guys a brief little overview of the Standing Liberty Quarter. Talk to you really quickly about its history. Give you some information about who the designer was, what the purpose is. I'm going to show you something that was done that is, and you're going to have to rephrase how this is called. They're reproductions, but they're called fantasy coins. Is that correct?
Or facsimiles. I think they would be either. But yeah, I think Daniel Carr stuff is considered fantasy coins.
It is fantasy.
So we're going to be going over some of that stuff. And then I'm going to turn the floor over to Jack. And Jack is going to educate us on a coin. Now, Jack, this is your coin, correct?
One is.
One is. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to kind of go over some stuff. And then I'm going to show you guys some sites that show Standing Liberty Quarters. And we're going to talk a little bit about the good aspect of what they've done and some of the bad aspect of what they've done. And then I'll have Jack, again, just reiterate what's important about purchasing things online, because some of the things to look for, and then kind of wrap up the rest of the day. So hopefully you guys like the idea, the direction that we're headed in. And so let's go ahead and kick this off. Mr. and Mrs. West Texas, the short last night regarding trusting everything you hear online goes for this channel as well. We give you the best information we can, but all we can do is provide people the information. It's up to them to make up their minds. I never, even with my channel, okay, Livecoin Q&A with Jack, with Copper Coins, with whomever, I never, you'll never hear them say ours is the only source you need.
And we're wrong too. I make mistakes all the time.
We all make mistakes. And so what's really important is if you hear people say, you know, let me be the sole source in your numismatic journey, or let me be the sole place to do this, you got to be very careful with that. What I want people to understand is that we are here to provide the information. It's ultimately up to you all. So when I saw that that video, obviously I wanted to kind of share that with everybody and put that out. So I appreciate you saying that. But this is all about integrity. And again, I get stuff wrong all the time, and I will remove it because of it. And you know, I don't need to know everything, but I do have a wonderful group of friends. Two of them are here. One of them is definitely listening right now. Obviously, you guys know Paula. Paula is still working through some issues after her second procedure on her eyes. She is doing well. I talked to her a little bit the other day. She really appreciates your prayers. Continue to do so. for her. Chuck, there's so many people. Mike and them, hey, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. There's so many people that have come alongside of me and stand alongside to help make sure you guys have great information. That I'm very blessed in that, and so I want to make sure that people can track that and understand that. So I appreciate the statement there. It really means a lot to me.
I don't know if your dads were like mine, but mine used to always say, I may not be right, but I'm never wrong.
Oh, I'm frequently wrong.
Well, I'm just saying, I can remember him saying that when I would say, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
He'd say, no, you're mistaken. I may not be right, but I'm never wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep Urban Stacker in our prayers as well. Okay, we'll do. Absolutely. You want to put information in there, we can share it out. I'm not tracking that, so let me know what's going on there. So let's say hi to everybody real quick. I haven't done any of that, so let's pop out and say hi.
There you go. Love that one.
What was that?
Mike Noodle. Mine was often wrong, but never in doubt.
That works too. So let's say, hey, what's up, Azure? How you doing? Yeah, don't tell us about it. He went shark fishing, the rotten turd. He had a good time. He was talking with me a lot yesterday. So let me say hi real quick. Obviously, Jack Young, thank you so much for being on panel today. I appreciate you as always. Eric just gifted 5 membership, folks. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate your friendship and your support, bud. Really, I do. Azure Blue, Dandy Dave, my mom is here. Hi, his special K. Jerry Parker, Littlefoot, me. Mike, Miss Coin Crew, what's going on? Good morning. How are you? Neil Hahn, Rockzilla. Vote for Pedro. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Yoxnav, Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker, and Robert Pintoff, another great channel supporter. So thank you guys so much for being here. I definitely appreciate that. So let's dig into the Standing Liberty Quarter. Now, the Standing Liberty Quarter, and I'm going to pull Neil. Neil asked the question, what's the standing? I thought it was a walker. So a real quick clarification. The walker was created. It's a 50-cent piece created by Adolf Weinman. Adolf Weinman was the developer of the Walking Liberty, the image that we see not only on that 50-cent piece, but on the American Silver Eagle as well. Okay, that's the Lady Liberty that appears that she's in great stride. You see the flowing garment that's there. That is the walker. This Standing Liberty was created by Herman McNeil. Now, for Neil Hahn, I told him it's a great way for him to remember because it's McNeil and then Neil. So he can tell what the standing is Neil, and that'll help him kind of identify that. But if anybody wanted to know the difference, that's the difference. Those are the two designers. And you can see that she's standing kind of in the doorway between these two pedestals. And she's standing there. She's not walking. She is actually at a stance. There are 2 different designs. Actually, technically, there's 3 different designs for this. There's a type 1, there's a type 2, but there was a design shift down in the bottom. If you look at the date on a Standing Liberty Quarter, let's pull up this. I'm going to go ahead and just pull up one of, hold on. Oh, why is it going to make me open this? You freaking goofy goofball. Here we go. Okay. Let me share this screen real quick. All right, there we go. So I'm going to zoom into this one here. This is going to be the type 2. There is a 1916 and a 1917 that is a type 1. You can tell that because they show this aspect of her body. They show that open breast there. In 1917, due to public outcry, they shifted that and they actually put chainmail. Now there's a couple different design elements on here. The chainmail changes, I think 2 or 3 times. The pattern inside here changes. But the other significant change was down here in the date, and that's because just like the Buffalo nickel, the Buffalo nickel's date wore off very, very quickly. And so after a couple years of this, I mean, within the same year, that date could be completely wore off of this particular coin due to circulation. And so they actually set this incuse a little bit into this pedestal. So they actually dropped the pedestal in and inset the pedestal a little bit and then put the date there so that the date was protected by the rim. And so that was a major design change that also occurred during this time frame. But when we talk about type 1, type 2, you're talking about this area right here where you can see the breast or you cannot see the breast. That's the difference between the type 1 and the type 2. The other thing that I want to show you is this right here. And this is when they're talking about the FH designation or the full head designation. Whoops. And this is something that, depending upon, we're looking, and I don't know why it's shifted all the way to the right. There we go. There is a flat head and then there's a full head. So you'll see that FH definition, designation, excuse me. And that's because it's FH. Now, a lot of people joke and say FN. We won't get into why, but it's not an FN designation. It is FH. So if you ever see this, this is exactly what they're referencing when we're talking about this. So most typical, you'll find it in this kind of realm right here. And then when you see the really, really, really high grades with a really nice solid strike, then you'll see the one kind of on the right. I know for you in vertical mode, that's going to be very hard to see. I will post this and the other images that I'm utilizing in the, these are all type 1. Okay, thanks, Mike. But I'll just kind of, I will post all the images that I'm showing you online after the stream so we can kind of go through those. On the reverse, we're going to look at the standard for those of you who aren't knowing. The type 1 doesn't have the stars below, the type 2 does. It's a great way to see the difference between the type 1 and the type 2. So this is important when you're looking at a 1916 counterfeit that is that has the stars. Clearly, it's not. You'll also see a 1917 or a 1918 or a 1924 that doesn't have the stars, and that in tune would not be a real coin. So just again, understanding the obverse and the reverse of those is extremely important. Now, there are a couple key dates or key items within the Standing Liberty Quarter. Obviously, the Type 1 1916 with a mintage of about 52,000 pieces is key. There is a 17 or 18 over 17S. That's pretty tough to find, a really cool variety. The 1921, the 23S, and the 27S. And in many of those, they have very weakly struck heads. If you can find one with full heads, they're extremely valuable and sought after. Again, we talked a little bit about the full head designation, what's going on. But there are a couple other pieces that I'm going to talk about. Now, when I mentioned, I've slide these out of the way, and let's come over here and pull this up. This is where we were talking about the Daniel Carr pieces, okay? Now, for those of you who are in vertical mode, you can either come over to the widescreen, or I can just send this link in chat, and you can come check this out. This is the Daniel Carr pieces. This is Moonlight Mint. This is the link that I'm going through. You can look at these. Keep this in your back pocket. This is something that's important to know. And why is that? Well, the reason that this is important is because there are some coins in here that are fantasy pieces. Now, if you guys will do me a favor, in your own terms, Jack and Eric, can you guys explain the difference between counterfeits, replicas, and fantasy pieces?
You want me to go first? Or
I'll
him?
take a shot if you like.
Okay.
You know, counterfeits are Can be replicas, can be copies. They are coins that are made to deceive. So the intent to deceive is what makes a coin a counterfeit. Replicas and copies certainly can be done, like electrodes, can be done for museums and other exhibit pieces. They are counterfeit when, again, there is an intent to try to sell them to deceive. Daniel Carr pieces, most people regard them as basically works of art. He does a fantastic job with what he does. He kind of skirts it, in my opinion. They are all overstruck on genuine coins as planchets, and they are all what we consider fantasy dates, which would be dates where that particular coin was never struck by the U.S. Mint. The issue becomes if someone takes one of those and then tries to sell it as a genuine piece.
And that is an important distinction. Now, something else that was said, and Jack said this earlier, and Mike is reiterating this, and that is these are all supposedly, and I want to say supposedly because until somebody can show me any proof that these are actually done this way, I'm going to say supposedly, struck over the exact same type coin. So an SLQ is struck over the top of an original SLQ planchet or original SLQ coin. You can see the undertype. That's fine, Mike, but until I can, show it, I again, people can say what they want to say. I'm not saying I doubt Daniel Carr. I would like to see it because I would like to see how he stages those. Is he doing single squeeze, single press? How is he creating these? I know he does have an old mint machine that he utilized, but I would like to see the process, right? And so for me, yeah, I know people can say that that's what's happening, but I would like to see it.
I'd just like to make a comment too. I see Mike made a comment about you can see the undertype. The only Daniel Carr that I have is a large cent with the wrong date on it, but I cannot see any undertype. I put it underneath the microscope, and in fact, the coin is considerably under standard, which could certainly be because it was probably a worn out coin, but I don't see any undertype, and it weighs way under what a standard large cent would weigh.
Yeah, and again, it's not. I'm not doubting anyone, right? I'm not saying that anybody's wrong. And there are some that are obvious, okay? And I agree with you, right? We've seen some that are clearly done, but I don't. I would like to see it, right? And again, in this particular setup at the top, he's already indicated that all of the dies used to create this particular one have been defaced. I would like to see these, right? And so they're neat pieces, but they're very important. Now, why is this such a big deal? The reason that I want to show these is because, as we stated earlier, in 1922, they didn't produce, well, we were talking about this before the stream. I always got to remember what we talk about beforehand and what we mentioned in the stream because we talk a lot. The 1922 didn't exist, and it didn't exist because the United States Mint during that time frame, one, made an assessment that they had enough circulating quarters, but they were also really focused on trying to fulfill the need for the Pittman Act. They had a very specific amount of silver coinage they needed to have done in 1922, and you'll see that with the peace dollar, right? The sheer amount of them that were done, and that was all to meet the Pittman Act. They had to make sure that they met that time frame. Now, Mike, that was something that Eric said during that time frame was the recession as well. But if you look at the United States Mint's purpose for that, or you look at the history of Philadelphia Mint, they will tell you point blank, and it's listed on their page, that the reason that they didn't do that was because of the Pittman Act. That's their primary reason. The reason that the Secretary of the Treasury made this statement regarding there being enough coins was most likely due to the recession. but the determinant was the Pittman Act. They had to meet that need, and they needed the mints focused on that. Now, during this time frame, we know that Denver was having a massive issue with quality. And so there was an initial design that went to Denver, and then they opted not to do this. There's none known to have been struck of this particular coin. So you won't find these in your pocket change. You won't find these in circulation. If you happen to find one, it's either a counterfeit or a Daniel Carr, right? It's just one of those things that there's no authentic U.S. Mint struck 1922 SLQs that we're aware of. I say why that we're aware of because, who knows what some nefarious Mint employee happened to have done when they were testing the dies. But there's supposedly none that were ever struck in this. When we look at the next one that's down here, we know this is 1915. Curious, because this wasn't actually created and first struck until 1916. And so, again, very important to understand that in this particular fact, this coin couldn't have existed, right? It was before the production was created. So again, it is one of those that is just a fantasy coin. Brian Field, Carmelo Jones, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you coming in. And again, then the last one, which is another one, is the Carmelo Jones, just subscribed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Is the 1931S. And again, when you look at that, you'll see the differences here. Now, why am I showing you these? They're fantasy coins. Well, as was stated earlier, the fantasy coins, as they're created, were not meant to deceive. They were listed as such. They were sold as such. They are documented as such. But what's important is that just because somebody has one doesn't mean that it won't get back into circulation or won't be attempted to be sold as something other than what it is. And so when you have the capability to identify what these are, it's important that you share that information so that people are looking at these things, they're identifying these things. And if you'll notice, the 31S, you look at the chainmail doesn't have that heavy bar across the top of that, which is one of the design elements you'll see later in the Standing Liberty Quarter. So there's some design elements that are fundamentally just a little bit off from what you would see during that generalized time frame. But again, it's important to understand that this is not an authentic U.S. Mint coin. So if you happen to see the 1915, the 1922, or the 1931S on eBay or something like that, just have that information in your back pocket. And again, I put that information in chat, but all of these links will be put in the description once the stream is done. All right. Now, with that being said, I'm going to turn the time over to Jack. So, Jack, let's talk about this 1927.
So, Eric had said this was one of his favorite designs, which is one of the things that kind of prompted me to bring a couple up here. I've got two images here that I consider to be dark side coins. This is the first one. You can see the cert number. You can see a very good image of the coin. And then, of course, it's noted as AU details and properly cleaned. You look at it pretty carefully, and I'll get into it a little bit deeper, but it's not really a full head. I would call that a dark side head. You can go to the next image. I think if you just go to the left, Frosty. And that's actually shows the NGC cert for that one. So this particular coin was certified back in the 2015 timeframe, which was about the time that I went down the rabbit hole for very deceptive counterfeit coins. Next slide. And so this is another one. This one was actually first seen in 2013. It was also for sale on eBay. I found it basically through the archives. Very similar coin. Again, this one is VF details, and again, noted as improperly cleaned. And then the last slide. And this tells you that maybe there's a problem because now that cert says contact NGC customer service, which is typically what they note when there is actually a problem with a coin or a cert. Can you get to the presentation I put together, the article, Frosty? It's the PDF.
Let me pull that up real quick. I've got to pull that out because I knew I had to get back into my account, and then that shows all my personal information. So I wanted to
Gotcha.
separate that. There we go.
Okay, so I started writing articles really back in 2015 and 2016. And I've talked before about the Chinese group that was headquartered in Texas.
Hey,
That
hey,
made,
can I cut you off real quick before we begin?
yes.
Can we ask chat if they have any idea of what was wrong with the coin before we actually break down
Sure.
what? Because
Beautiful.
you asked Eric that question,
I did.
and I'm like, I think we should afford. And again, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. This is an open chat.
I think that it's great. Let me get to that first image. Here we go. I think it's a good thing to look at because being told, Jack, be quiet. The other Jack.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Being told what's wrong with something is okay, yeah. But being able to look at it and go, oh, I see what he's talking about. That's the aha moment we want to help you understand. That's what we want to get to. So when you look at this, if you can't see anything wrong, that's absolutely fine. Not a big deal. But by the end of this, if you still can't see what's going on, let's talk about it. Okay. And so obviously, Jack had his moment and said what he thought it was. I should have clarified beforehand, Riley, shh. But again, stars, it's the right obverse, right reverse. Can anybody see what's going on with this?
If anybody listened to the first thing I said when
I
that
see.
first image came up, they'll know.
Okay.
I see it.
Okay. So, well, I think it's important, right? Because you're going to get that. You're going to get the one thing that jumps out at you. And when you realize that, when you understand that, once you see it, it's hard to unsee it, right? And so, again, I just wanted to give people an opportunity to look at this and identify what was right or what was wrong with this before we did it. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I just wanted to give people that opportunity. So thanks for that.
Yeah. So again, there was a group that was funded by a Chinese buyer, and they were located in College Station, Texas, and they had some of the most deceptive counterfeits that we'd ever seen. There were a group of those that had passed through a TPG's submission, and I ended up with access to a lot of those images. And the majority of those had not been slabbed for one reason or another. But unfortunately, as we continued to look for others like them, then we found some that had slipped through. When I first started this, I'm a member of VAC, Early American Coppers, I focused on a bunch of early copper coins that were counterfeit, and then got into some of the silver ones. So this was actually the second one I did of a silver series, and wrote this article back in 2018. You can go ahead and continue to scroll. And I just talk a little bit about it. And one of the articles that I had written that was one of my aha moments was I wrote an article called From the Brink to the Dark Side. And I found that a number of these coins actually had been damaged and repaired. So when the buyer was buying, initially he bought some pretty expensive coins. And then I guess he learned as they set up their network that he could buy some of the key dates, and they were damaged, many of them with small holes, that they could repair those very accurately. And of course, it would still leave a trace because there would be some retooling or re-engraving necessary to make it work. But he was buying hold coins, and then they were repairing those and then creating the dies to strike the counterfeit. So that opened up a whole new approach to looking for some of these, and that was to go in and look for hold and damaged or repaired coins. And that's what led me to this one. And of course, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I actually nicknamed this one the visor head. A little different from a full head, but I call this one a visor head. And we'll get to some better images here in a minute. So we'll go down a little bit further. Keep going. Up a little bit. Went by too fast. So this first one, just above, if I can see it on my screen here. The very first one was one that was in a group that NGC had actually not certified, and it said that it had been tooled, surfaces had been altered, and they were correct. And then as I continued to look for these, then I found the one near the bottom there that had this massive hole in it. And you can see where the hole is. It's right in that area, that feature that created the visor when they plugged that hole and actually repaired that coin. It also created an issue there, as he circled, where the R and the D had to be re-engraved to repair where that hole had been as well. So if you were to go in and look at that first coin and go to attribute it, you would see there were some details that were off. And that would lead you to believe that the coin either had been damaged and tooled, but may not have led you to believe that it was counterfeit until we found some more. So yeah, there it is again. And again, we'll see it as we get further into the presentation. Frosty, I've got a pretty good attribution page at the end. We'll continue down. So there's the whole one. And it's interesting to note that I found that one was actually sold on eBay in 2012. And it kind of gave us a little idea about the time frame associated with how they were doing these. Coin was purchased in 2012. The first one I think we saw was in 2013, 2014. So what I've done here is I've taken the original review example and compared it to a genuine example. And of course, there's one feature that sticks out again, the visor head, as I've circled that in red. And then going down a little further, you can see it. I gave a little closer image of it. And again, once you see it, you can look through a lot of standing Liberty quarters and look for that feature. That is of the struck counterfeit.
It reminds me of, the English bobby hats for the females.
Yes.
That's exactly what that looks like.
To me, I just called it a visor because it looked like someone was wearing a golf visor.
Yeah.
And then as you get to the bottom, you see again the area where it was repaired. The R obviously does not look quite right for the struck example. Continuing down.
Yeah, so this R, you can see that it kind of leans into the right too.
And you see the opening in it is different as well.
Yeah.
So they did a pretty masterful job. I mean, it really was a pretty good job. The question is whether that example was genuine and is the one that was repaired. Without having it in hand, there's no way to know. But when you find others that are just like it, then you know that you've got some struck counterfeits.
Great insight.
So we'll keep going down again. We show that a little closer. In both cases, I tried to give a little close-up view. And again, you can see how different the R's look when you compare them to each other. Okay, so continuing down. So yeah, I said 2014. This was the first one that we saw that was actually certified as genuine. That was the first image that Frosty showed. In my article, I did not show who the TPG was or any of that. I just did a cropped image. But this is the first one that we identified as one of the struck counterfeits. And again, you can see the visor head very clearly. And of course, the R doesn't look right. And down a little further, do the comparison between the two. Things line up between the certified example and the review example. So They're not the same example, two different coins, both have the same feature. And then down a little further, and so we picked up some other features that were common also. Not only was the R repaired, and that was common, but there are some nicks and there are some scratches that are common between these two also. And certainly a coin with circulation marks, you should not find another one with the same circulation marks. The only thing you should see is things that are actually in the die. And so these dies are so accurate. They made these coins so deceptive that every little nick and scratch and circulation mark that was in the source coin to make the dies is in every one of the struck clones or counterfeits. So again, it's another good way to match marks and identify that you've got two bad coins. At least one bad coin. Continuing down. So as I was doing my research and doing my investigation, I identified a group of sellers, and I actually identified them by eBay seller name. There was about 7 of them, and they were all selling out of the same company name, out of the same location in Texas. And so I started just searching through some of their stuff, and I found this one that actually had been sold. This one is raw. Again, identical, the same visor head, the same repaired areas, the same scratches. It's an identical struck counterfeit. And what's interesting, the counterfeit seller sold it, and then it was noted by the buyer that it was counterfeit, and he successfully returned it to the seller. So then it was available for sale again. But as I go through it here, you can see I marked the circles, and again, those are all identical marks to the other ones that we've seen. Continue down. So that one we saw 2015. So in my articles, I would actually develop a timeline, and I would identify each example to try to eliminate the possibility of any of them being duplicates. And knowing where they were, we could then establish how many there were. And then going through, I could also look and see when I saw them for sale and available, and just again get an idea of the process. So we saw the first raw one that we believe that was the hold example that should have been the source repaired example in 2012. Then the first one that we saw certified was 2014, and we saw 2 more in 2015, and then another one that was submitted to the TPG. That was my initial review example, and that was noted as not genuine and returned. So there are at least 3 in this list that we are confident are in fact struck counterfeits from that group. Continue down. And so this was the other one that I found. This one was certified in 2015. This was the second image that Frosty showed at the beginning of this. And again, all the same markers, all the same issues. And, you know, if you look at these and you're not looking at it with maybe a trained eye, you're not comparing it to what a genuine one should look like, then it could possibly slip by you as they slip by the TPG. And continue down. So I continue to write articles. I called it Dark Side. When I was done writing articles, I had documented 22 different denominations or varieties of counterfeit coins that all had their origins from the same group. And so they were prolific and they were deceptive. And they were using very good technology at the time because whatever scanning technology and manufacturing technology they used, they duplicated again every scratch and every piece of damage that was on the source coin ended up in the dies. And there have been times when, through the articles, we've documented a particular feature. They've actually gone in and tried to address that issue and created just another feature. So we know that they've been paying attention to some of the articles, and we know they've gone in and actually tried to touch up the dies. But again, it's one of the reasons that we stay so vigilant and continue to look at these. Eric and I have talked about what's the next technology, and how much better can these get? And are we already seeing counterfeits beyond this level that we just don't know yet? And again, we don't know what we don't know, but we certainly know about this group of counterfeits.
And we definitely know what technology's out there already, and it's not going to be long, and they're going to use it within homes of manufacturing.
Absolutely. And I know, being an early copper guy, there are so many provenances and so many coins that are so well documented, and so many varieties that, are not known to be perfect, and so the question to me is, if they perfect technology and they make the perfect 1798 S158 large cent, people in that group of the hobby are going to be very concerned. Where did they come from? And, they're going to question it just because it's perfect. But there are a lot of other coins, Morgans and whatnot, where there are a lot of perfect coins where that may be a lot more difficult.
Jack, I really appreciate you going through this. And again, when you look at this, and this is what I said at the very beginning, I wanted people to look at this and see if they could identify just by looking at the image. But now that you see this, you'll never miss that cap, right? And so becoming familiar, allowing yourself to look at a coin and go, I don't see it. That's not a problem. What's important and I call us educators, right? We have we have an expectation of trying to give you information in a usable manner. One of the problems is, and I see this a lot with other channels, and I do it on mine on occasion, and I don't catch myself. But it goes back to being a computer technician back when Packard Bell, that kind of dates me, I know. But I had a tier 2 tech boss that told me, remember that whenever you're teaching information, you're hearing this for the 1,000th time. This is what you do. But this might be the first time that they experience this. So having Jack break this down and walk through and show you, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. This is where it's at. So Brian Field, you've made my day. It's standing out now. I accidentally learned something. Outstanding, right? This is what this is about.
Hey, Frosty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we go to the very bottom of this presentation?
Yeah.
I kind of skipped over it, but in every one of these articles done, I wrote this one-page attribution guide, if you would. And so what it shows is the first example, the review example, then it shows the source example compared to a genuine example, and then I have the key attribution points at the very bottom. And that really highlights exactly what we're talking about.
And this is good quality education. What Jack has done here is he's taken a very complex discussion and made it here. This is what it is. This is what you're looking at, right? And it's extremely important. But we have to remember, and this is why I posted the short that Mr. and Mrs. West Texas Stacker mentioned earlier, right? Go do your research. Go look at this and start looking at SLQs and start seeing these things. Start practicing and looking at your coins and going, yep, normal, yep, normal, yep, normal. The way you learn is to look at coins, right? The way you learn about a counterfeit is to look at not only the counterfeit, but to look and really understand what the genuine design is. Look at coins. Pull your coins out of your books. Yeah, I got my coins here in my books. I'm going to stop sharing this real quick. Just for a second. And I'm going to pull this up. Pull your book out, right? And this is my typeset book. I've got tons and tons of different coins. Pull it out. Look at it as you're upgrading it. Put them side by side. Take a few moments and look at the different items. Look at the different elements. See what's there, right? I keep a cleaned example in here to show what might look like when it's cleaned. I keep some really good varieties. Eric will know this coin, even though he can't see it. It was a really cool find on copper coins that I just happened to get with the Die Clash. Yeah. Right. So I keep some really cool things in my typeset book, and I can constantly go back and look at some of these things and identify these. Pull your books out, pull your collections out, look at these types of things. And when you're looking for, or you hear, like Jack just walked over the Standing Liberty Quarter with you, pull some of your coins out and look at them. You never know what you're going to find. And give yourself opportunities to maintain that knowledge by actually using it. And so it's one of those things where, yeah, Kim is exactly right. It's getting difficult to realize and recognize because technology is getting better. And as more security features get added, and there are a lot of security features out there that many people don't know about. I'm gonna ask a question to chat. Okay, so let me clarify this. Jack Young, Eric, Jack Riley, and Mike cannot answer this.
You're no fun.
Got it.
One for true, and two for false. Okay, and if you don't answer, guess. It's okay. There's no wrong answers here. Only opportunities to learn. One for true, two for false. The reads of a coin are a security feature. True or false? The reads of a coin are a security feature. Now, I asked that question. We got people putting ones in chat. Outstanding. Okay. Now, why is this important? Well, the United States Mint, and I can actually pull this up, the United States Mint actually tells you how many reads are on what type of coin. It actually tell you there's 118, there's 112, there's 114, there's 194, whatever there are, they will tell you. And if you really want to do some interesting creative things, grab a 50-cent piece and a quarter and a dime and count the freaking reads, right? But it's true. You can actually determine the authenticity of a coin by counting the reads. Who's going to do that? Well, there are people that do. When you're actually having to determine whether a really good counterfeit is real or not, you look at every security point. You look at all your markers. You look at the makeup of the metal. If you're looking at silver and gold, you're going to be looking at the metal, the materials that are made of it. Does it match what that planchet's design, that planchet element, knowing that there is a plus or minus median there, right? But dig into that. Find out there's a lot of stuff that has to be done. And the security features are constantly changing. But as Kim stated, and as Eric has stated, God, how many times have we talked about this, Eric, with laser mapping and all that stuff and the potential issues? And
yeah,
right. It's getting harder and harder and harder. And this is why I'm so adamant about thanking Jack for being on stream and talking about these different things. Jack Riley, him and I talk, matter of fact, he sent me something that he wants me to read when I get back from brunch with my wife this afternoon. And so there's people who are feeding into me to help relay information to you. I don't know all of this stuff. I'm learning it along with you in many cases. But what's important is community. It's important to bring people to the table who know this. Folks, none of me, none of us can know everything there is to know about coins. You'll never get there. You'll never get there. Because as soon as you learn it, it changes. something changes, something shifts, something there's a new discovery, a new identification about something. There's always stuff to learn. But what's important is to surround yourself with people. Like I've been very blessed to be surrounded by some amazing people. I want you guys to come in here, not just because you listen to me, right? You can be like my wife. You can not listen to me at all. But I bring people up here to share information with you. Listen to them. They know what they're talking about, right? And so, yeah, you lose Kevin Pantera. I love your last name, by the way. You're not any relation to the group, are you? Because that would be badass. Carmelo. Oh, this is really cool. So Carmelo just learned something today, which is where's the mint mark on a standing Liberty quarter. So let me show you. If you see my screen, I'm going to show you this. So here's Jack's article again. This right here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make it nice and pretty. This is where the mint mark is located. Okay. This is where the mint mark is located. The M is the signature of McNeil, Herman McNeil, who is the designer of the coin. But it's located here, right? And so, again, it's one of those things where, hey, somebody picks something up. If one person learns something from this, we've done exactly what needed to happen. Now, but each one of you will be able to look at this coin and go, oh yeah, like I'll never be unable to experience looking at an SLQ and not look for this gap. You know what I mean? So Jack, I appreciate the breakdown of that counterfeit, walking us through that. I also really appreciate you suggesting this for Eric. Right. And again, when Eric said this and Jack reached out to me and said, hey, you know what? This would be a really fun episode.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
It has been, yes.
So I appreciate that. Now I'm going to show one other thing, and all of you are please comment in chat. I'm going to pull up a couple sites. Now, nobody on here do I sponsor. Nobody on here do I support. I'm not saying anything on here is good, it's bad. But I want to talk about some of the presentation, some of the things to look for when looking online, eBay, wherever, to kind of identify good and bad parts of things within a coin. So I'm going to look at this first one. Again, there's no rhyme or reason to why I grabbed these particular ones. They just stood out to me. And we look at this particular coin. So I'm going to start with Jack. Jack, what are your initial thoughts about this? What are some good things that you see here? What are some bad things that you see here?
Well, again, I look at things from the standpoint of whether it appears that it could be a fake. And I'm not seeing that. I see what looked like maybe some damage around the head there. I'm not sure what that is, what that feature is. The seller, 100% positive. I always look at that. And I also always go in and look and see what else he has. Well, he's calling it a full head, and I have some struggle with that, if that really is what
It's
that
got
is.
wire on it for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't compare to a full head to the images that you showed. It's got some pretty good gouges under the neck. Yeah, there's no way that would ever attribute as a full head standing Liberty.
So we come back down.
It would need to be a type 1, right? There's no stars under it.
And it is a type 1. Right? We don't see the chainmail. The chainmail's not there.
Exactly.
The dots are correct.
Yeah, the rivets are strong, which would be for type 1.
And so it's got all the elements of an authentic coin. Paula, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. But what I like about this one is this. you'll receive the exact coin located in the photos. Now, if you scroll down farther, they tell you that if you have any questions with this, there's a total money back guarantee. No questions asked. But, again, there are some good things about this particular seller and what they've done. Now, they don't issue a grade. I agree with him. I don't necessarily think that this is going to label as full head. If you were to send this off to grading, I don't think that it would meet that. But I'll tell you what, if you want a really good upgrade in your Type 1 in your book, this might be a really nice coin to do that. Now, I don't know about the price. So somebody who would have to, kind of look at the price for this, they would have to determine that. You'd have to do your research and determine that. I'm not going to even assume I can price these things. Jack Riley and I had a discussion about that the other day. But a very, very, very pretty coin. It's got tons of viewers, tons of great information, legitimate business. So again, it stands out good. Now this one is, oops, wrong one. Sorry. This one is something that I would have another issue with. Gem BU full head. There's only one image. There's nothing else. It's only one image. No reviews. No nothing. All the coins basically look exactly the same. And if you look at each one of them, you see a common denominator. You see this? Each one of them has the exact same thing, regardless of the year. Every one of these. Whoops, that's not the same one. Oh, they changed the images. They updated their images. Oh, okay. I think when I refresh, the different set of images comes up. But this little mark on this, like this, they're all almost exactly the same. So what are your thoughts about this one?
Go ahead, Eric. Boy, I'm not an expert at it. And you're talking about the 1711. From what I see, it looks genuine, except the rim looks a little funky. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I am no expert at these.
What are your thoughts about this area right here, Jack?
That was where I was saying that the rim is not cool. It's a little thick.
Yeah, I've seen genuine coins with that too. But
that's right. But usually it's real thin on the other side. It's just a slight off center or something.
Right. And it's thinner on the other side. Over here. I'm using my pointer and it's not working.
Yeah, it's hard. That we need to get that feature in on my.
Now, do you find that genuine, Jack?
I would
be a Type 1, right?
Yeah, it should be a Type 1. And he says it's a Type 1. Again, I'm not an expert of these either. So the first thing I would do is go in and pull up genuine images and do a comparison of the two, which is what I'm doing right now, actually.
So there are some things about this that cause me some concern. Number one, the general finish, the look of the coin. There's just something, and again, folks, trust your first instincts. If you have questions about it, go look it up. But usually your first instinct is going to be correct. Usually. Now, it doesn't mean that what you see, you'll know exactly why, but, trust that gut. I can't tell you whether this coin is authentic, but I can tell you that it gives me the heebie-jeebies. There are certain things about it that I just don't like.
It's definitely...
Yeah, it bothers me they don't show the reverse image. I mean, eBay would not allow that.
Right. That is kind
You've got to show both images. And that feature you circled, I just pulled up an image myself. That feature is on Type 1. So again, I'm just not that familiar with the coin, but I've just pulled one up and it has that feature there at the head on all of them.
Okay. So, but there's no other images. There's no reviews. This is, they have tons of stuff, but there's nothing about anything on this coin.
It's ugly. I mean, it's the appearance is ugly, and I certainly would pass.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of things that would cause question to this. Now, again, I can't tell you whether it's authentic or not. What I would have to tell you here is I don't have enough information. Okay, there's not enough information to make this decision, but I can tell you this. That's not an $1,100 coin.
No.
Okay, I can't tell you that. I have seen examples of SLQ quarters that should be, $11, $12, $1,300. That is not an $1,100 coin. So again, I can't tell you whether or not it's authentic or not. But yeah, this is just not. And it's definitely not what they're calling it to be. And it might be the photo, but there doesn't appear to be any luster in that coin. It appears to be very, very flat. Now, let's take this one. This is eBay listing. 7 people have reviewed it, $1,500 coin. They don't show any images of the coin. What they show on this particular one is that this is the certificate number, and they're saying that this is the actual coin you're going to get. So what happens in your world when you're looking at coins where they don't show the authentic, they don't actually show the coin, they only show either 1, stock images, or 2, quote unquote certificate?
You asking me?
Yeah.
In my world, I look at the seller. In this particular case, I know the seller, so I know it's a good seller. I always want to see an image of the PCGS slab as well. And so you can get into an argument about that. If it's not a very well-known seller, then you could be suspicious that they're just using a stock image and that's not the coin you're going to get. If it's a seller I would probably, if I were interested in the coin, would probably email and ask for an image of the PCGS slab in hand. But that doesn't violate an eBay policy as far as I know.
So I actually reached out to this seller because this is an authentic coin. This is, as you state, this is a good seller. And asked that very question. And if you go pull up this particular coin, that certificate number, you're going to see this picture. Now, you'll see this picture because this is PCGS's coin. This is the image that you'll see on PCGS.
Yeah,
but it does not mean that that person has this coin in hand. So you need to have, and just because they take a slab and show it, that they show this image with a slab in hand, doesn't mean that it's authentic either. Okay. So there are some things to look at. Now, this is not $40. So this is a type 1. So let me get down here. This is a type 1 full head MS65. That's an expensive coin. And so I have asked the seller to look at this, but that's exactly what I would have done, or what I've done, which is to ask and say, hey, can I see this coin in hand? But warning, folks, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is, it is the coin. It's definitely something you want to see, but it doesn't guarantee that it's authentic. You would need to see good quality photos and be able to zoom into this and look at the coin in hand and then compare it to the images. Make sure that it has, because if they show the coin in hand and it doesn't have these spots and this coloration shift, or you see a mark here that doesn't appear on the coin, then you have problems. So again, I would say this is way more authentic than this one, which I would never pull the plug on. This one with a little bit more information, I would feel way better about. Right? So it's about asking questions. And if the seller gets ticked off because you say, hey, you know what, I don't like the fact that you only put the stock image up from PCGS, can you actually show me the coin in hand? If they get frustrated with you, walk away. Unless it's something you absolutely have to have, be willing to walk away. The best thing that you can do in any deal is go there with the understanding that in order to be and get the best deal, the best thing for you, you have to be able to walk away. Doesn't matter if you're buying a car, a washer dryer, a refrigerator. If you're not getting what you went there to get, you don't get that gut happy, warm feeling, and it meets that respectful integrity, both ends are getting good deals type thing, be willing to walk away. Buyer's remorse sucks. But buyer's remorse when you're scammed is horrible. So be willing to walk away from something. The last one I'm going to show is this one. Now, this one I showed because it's got a hefty price point. 1916 Type 1, MS65 full head. PCGS, look at the slab. 28,000, 100% positive seller. Tons of images of the coins with different light. Hold for page was like 35 grand. So the question is what's the deal here with this particular coin? Is this a more realistic price for the MS65? And if that's the case, what does that mean for the other one?
Well, the one was a 1917. This is a 1916. This is like the coin. It's like 50,000 minted.
Well, and again, yeah, that's so we talked about that, paying attention to the differences in the coin. Okay.
What I would do, first of all, I know the seller, so I know he's a really good seller. I would go in and I would look up that cert number. That'd be the absolute first thing I would do. And I would look to see what the PCGS TrueView image looks like compared to this. But I would be pretty confident that those two are going to match and that it's that coin. You know, I'm not going to get into pricing, but if you go into the PCGS cert, it would probably have a recommended price point, or at least some average price point for a coin such as this. So you would see that on the PCGS cert website as well.
All great points. All great points. The fact of the matter is, number one, and Paul has said this in chat just a little while ago. If you're going to spend that kind of money, you better know what you're getting. You better know what you're going after.
Fact.
Okay. And I don't mean 34,000. I mean, if $400 is a lot of money to you, then do your research and make sure you're getting exactly what it is you think that you're getting. There are a ton of people who would be willing to look at stuff for you. Now, I know that this seller is good. I've actually bought stuff from this seller. One, I love the name of the company. It's really cool. I've actually bought, there's actually one coin in here that is, where are you? Where's my half? There they are. I purchased this coin. Oh, you can't see my screen. Anyway, I purchased a Liberty seeded half-dime with arrows from this seller about 5-6 months ago, and extremely good review. So knowing the seller is important, but again, doing your due diligence. Just because they posted images, you're going to want to go look at that cert, right? Go look at this picture and look and zoom in close. Go online to the website. There's a couple items on this particular coin that you can look at. Look at and you'll see this here, right? You'll see that little speck there. You'll see it on every picture. You look at the reverse, there was a thing above the wing right here, right? That little mark there. And if you look at that on the slab and you zoom in, you'll see that mark is right there. Right now, look at this and check this out on the other site and see if it's still there. See if that actually shows the exact same elements. But do your research, right? And it goes back to really understanding what it is that you're looking at, and getting the most out of your money, but making sure you're protecting yourself.
I just sent you a link, Frosty.
Hold on just a sec. Let me get there. You send that to me. Oh, Facebook.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, for heaven's sakes, come on. Here we go. She got issues with her toes.
Yeah, at least.
Have you ever had a cramp in your toe where your big toe separates from the rest of your foot?
Not like that.
She got a spasm. Yeah, so I mean, again, folks, the more you look at the coins, the more things are going to stand out, the more that that you're going to start to identify stuff. But you find these things by looking at the coins. And then again, you have somebody with 3 and they're selling this for, $27. How many do they have? 26 available, or 26 that they've had in their hand. That's a problem. That's a significant issue. Obviously, we're looking at things like the thickness of the letters on Liberty. The stars are aligned inappropriately. There's no details in the areas here. There's just a ton of stuff. I'm almost surprised that this particular coin. Why is it not showing the back image? There we go. I'm actually surprised it doesn't have stars underneath it.
Look how bad the eagle looks, though. It looks like an alien.
Yeah. So again, you'll see stuff when it jumps out. And hey, Nick Ganger, thanks for so much for coming in. If you're a new subscriber today, I really appreciate the engagement and for you popping in and sharing all the information that you've done. I hope to see you back in the chat in future episodes. So thanks so much for being here today. I definitely appreciate you.
Hey, Frosty, the worst part is 11 sold, 15 available.
Well, yeah, but there's 26 of these in a mintage of 52,000. What's the likely of concentration that they would have that many?
That look like this?
Yeah, well, yeah, not only that look like that, but just in general. That'd be pretty remarkable to have 26 1916 type 1s in very fine condition, and they're selling it wholesale. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, so again, obviously the details and stuff are extremely important. But when you're looking at that and you're looking at mintages of scarce or highly desirable coins, look at that and the number. And if you see these, and I know that there was one that you showed, and I want to say it was the large cent, where there was like 315 sold and like 840 available or something like that.
Yeah, it was a large cent, yes.
Yeah, ridiculous freaking number. Like, they have more than the total mintage of the coin or something like that. It was ridiculous.
The unfortunate thing is they end up in other venues for sale as genuine as well.
That's right.
And Mike is like, what the funny thing is this is what most fakes look like to Jack and myself. And right. I agree. Yeah. And the more you look at this stuff, now I don't have Brian Field, thanks for subscribing. I appreciate that. One thing that I don't have is, unlike Mike, I'm not in a coin shop, right? I am a hobbyist. And so I don't get to see many of these things on the daily like they get to. I know that Jack looks at coins frequently, all day, every day. It's very important to look at and identify these things. Eric had a coin shop. Eric deals with coins. This guy goes through coins. He's probably got 1,000 coins sitting on his desk right now, unless he's cleaned it.
Actually, I think I do.
And so now I have coins on my desk, but I work 50 hours a week. And I have no problem researching and digging in and trying to find something. But we have people who have done the work already. I don't need to do the work. What I want to do is get you guys the information that helps you make better, more informed decisions. That's what's important to me. And there are some amazing folks. And again, you guys know that I stand by Mike and Aaron Burke and those folks over at Harlan J. Burke. I really do. But that doesn't mean that that's the only shop I recommend. There's a lot of good, solid people that do some amazing stuff. And this seller that we have here, not this one, but the one that this one here, you know, good, solid seller. We know that they're positive. Good, solid seller. We know that they're positive. Not so confident about this. I don't know. I don't know enough about them, but I'm really skeptical and leery about that particular coin. And then again, we have this one. You know what? I like the fact that there's a guarantee. I like the fact that they do that. I would seriously consider buying this particular coin. I might ask a few more questions, but the thing is that, you know, in looking at these, I have a better understanding thanks to people like Jack to look at some of these. Now, there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people out there that he said, oh, yeah, hold on. Jack just sent me, the other Jack, young Jack, just sent me a photo. Where does it go?
Does that make me the old Jack? Is that what we're saying?
Well,
you are the more experienced Jack.
I don't know if that's true either.
Let's see. Where did that go? Here we go. This is what I want to show you. Here we go. This is another one that, this is a fairly new counterfeit that, then this is from Jack Riley. And no, I just, you know, it's when I just say Jack, it's very hard to say which one, because you both are really good at what you do. But Jack Riley's a pup. He's a young kid, but he has done some amazing things.
I understand.
And
I
so
got
that hair, a picture of him with that hair.
you know, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's his son. And then he was like, you know, me, whatever. And I was like, holy dude. And I had long hair when I was a kid, so I have
I did.
nothing to say about that. But so yeah, there's definitely some issues here. This is sent to me by Jack Riley. But this is something that he's actively searching. And again, you see on the reverse here, he's got a couple die markers that they've been looking at. You'll see the little mark in between the I and the C on America up at the top. They're under the wing. And then just outside, you'll see that little die dot there in about a ½ inch in front of the beak there. So again, a lot of important stuff. But what's, you know, they can show all the images that they want to, but what's the takeaway here? The takeaway is if there's any doubt about a coin, you have people that can help you. That is the end all be all of today's discussion. That if you have questions about a coin, before you pull the plug, before you jump into something, if you're not absolutely sure and you want to ask, you can reach out to me. I can connect you to young Jack Riley. You can reach out to Paula. You can reach out to Eric Coppercoins. You can reach out to a number of different people. Mike, Harlan J. Burke. There's a lot of people who will come alongside in helping you make a wise and informed decision. Okay? And so I want you, if there's nothing else that you get from today's discussion, is that you have a community of people who are genuinely here to help you. Okay? And so Carmelo says, I'm coming here. Thank you. You know, Carmelo, I appreciate that. Thanks for being a brand new subscriber. Carmelo, if you'll do me a favor, I'm going to put !email. I also want Brian Field and Nick Ganger. Hopefully he's still here. Send me an email. Here's my email. It's frostbytecoins@gmail.com. Let me know you're a new subscriber and that I told you to email me. I'm going to send you a channel round. And I'm going to do this. These are normally designed for my members. But I'm doing this for two reasons. Number one, The amount of engagement that you guys have had today has been remarkable. I appreciate you. And that's this right here. So if you guys are seeing what I'm holding in my hand, this is a poker chip that I created for my channel. And I want to thank you guys for your active participation in today's discussion. So send me an email, send me your shipping information, and I'll get that off in the mail. It'll just come standard mail, nothing major. But you came in, you held great discussion, you got some good information, and I definitely appreciate the support today in today's channel. Matt T. Coins, I'm a new subscriber. Okay. Matt, do you have one? Oh, no, he's not a member. Wait, yeah. So normally those get reserved for members. If you're a member and you don't have one, again, email me, let me know. Because if you were a member, you should have one of these. Mike said he got his, outstanding. I do still have to send one off to Matt. Unfortunately, you don't have one, Jack?
No.
I thought I sent one off to you.
Yeah, I don't have one either.
No, I don't have
I know
one.
I sent one to you, Eric.
You did? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe it's in the mailbox. I haven't looked yet.
Yeah, it might be in the mail. Yeah, I sent that to you a little while ago, so you should have that. Actually, I think I sent it to you in a Copper Coins flip.
Okay.
But if you're a member and you don't have one, email me. And Jack, just send me your email or your address, and I'll get that off in the mail.
Will do.
Yeah, because again, if you guys support the channel, then I want to make sure that you guys get something cool. But Carmelo and Brian and Nick, you guys really came in and engaged a lot today, asked a lot of good questions, made a lot of great statements. And I want to say thank you by giving you guys this. Kevin Pantera, same thing. Go ahead and fire me off one because I think Kevin's brand new as well. All right. Well, anything else that you guys want to chat about, or you guys have any questions in chat that we can answer? I've only got about 8 minutes left. Hey, Paula, do me a favor. Can you just really quickly in chat, can you give everybody an update? Everybody's been asking about you. I've had a number of people reach out, again, commenting on the link that I did about your sister, making sure people go over and let you know how you're doing. But can you just give me a quick update so that people in chat can see that? Folks, and I want you to do me a favor, okay? I know, Frosty, sorry about going overboard on the Sacagawea post. Oh, hell no. No, I loved it. I was like, mic drop, bam. You dug into that so well, Kim. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, mic drop, boom, class is dismissed. Great information. You did a great job there. But what I want you guys to do, folks, I know you're reaching out to me and say, hey, how's Paula? How's Paula? How's Paula? But reach out to Paula. Okay. I tell her that a lot of people reach out to her, but I want you guys to reach out to her. You owe her that kindness. So do me a favor and reach out. Even if it's going to a live coin Q&A, post on a video and just say, hey, we love you. Her comment, my daughter is healing. She has a ways to go, but she's alive. I'm okay. I'm blessed. 6 more infusions to go. We love you and we miss you a ton. I miss you in the conversations. I miss the snarky, brilliant mannerisms in which you use when people show stuff and talk about things. I miss you a ton. We miss you here. And so again, folks, if you would just reach out to her, let her know that you love and miss her. And, you know, it's amazing what a little bit of time out of your day can do for somebody. Kim, unlike many people, you can't upset Frosty with the truth. Unless you're my kids or my wife. Because, you know, nobody likes being wrong. No, I'm just kidding. We joke about that. But yeah, we miss you, Paula. We really do. And looking forward to having you back one time. Even if it's just to hear your voice. Pop in, say hi. Let us know how you're doing. And keep us updated. Love you, my friend. Any other questions? Yes, please go to the source because people like to make stuff up. Indeed. Any other questions before we go?
I asked in chat if anybody would be interested in a future chat to see my submission that came back from ICG.
Well, it's my channel. I would love for you to do that. Eric, are you going to be talking to Chuck today? I need to call him.
I'm not sure.
I was originally going to have him up to talk about something, and with all the crap that happened with my family, we never reconnected, and I owe him an apology. We kind of dropped the ball. Mike Noodle says yes. Invisible says yes. I think we got to go. I think that'll be another good episode. Vote for Pedro is like, absolutely. Sounds cool. Carmelo, sounds good. So yeah, we got a bunch of people that are on board with that. You want to prep that for next week?
I
can probably do that.
All right. So
I did take a peek at that post. It was actually pretty cool.
Cool. So
is doing that.
Yeah, you and I are friends. I know we don't admit that much, Eric.
Mike, you don't have to ask, brother. You can come up on panel whenever you want. You guys have an open door. When I say this, say again, Eric.
This is free for all at Frosty's.
Well, I'm asking Jack. Okay, Jack, Mike wants your permission to be on next week.
I just saw that. Yes, of course, he'd be a great addition.
I'm going to have to mute him, though. Just kidding. Yeah, Mike, again, and I don't say this, I don't say this to be whatever, but you guys at Harlan J. Burke have an open door. Like, seriously. If there's ever anything that we're talking about, and you guys want to present or show something, we're talking about a very specific thing, and you're like, hey, we just got a new collection of these in, we can show you a series of these. Let me know. And I open my channel to you guys. I strive to hold up to a level of integrity that I know that the Burke family does. And so you guys have an open door. Absolutely, without question. And I would love to have Aaron back up to do another discussion and talk about some more stuff. If you guys want us to know more about ancients, I would love to have him come up and talk about, choose a topic. And let's let him take this channel back over again. So let's work on that and do that again. He does love to talk, but so do I. But I have no problem being quiet in the presence of people who actually know more than I could ever hope to about a topic. And when it comes to ancients, he's brilliant. I'm actually I got to talk to you actually. Coordinate a conversation because I'm doing a video and I need his insight on a couple gold coins that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to reach out to you afterwards, based off of a discussion that I put in my chat on my community page about what people wanted to see. So I'll be reaching out to you. If you're available, are you available for 10 minutes following this, Mike? My door's open. My wife just looked at me like, because we're going to brunch. Okay, I'll give you a quick call afterwards. It can't be long because we've got brunch that I'm going to have to do. But yeah, thank you for putting in the Aaron Burke link there. Jack, you want to do me a favor? And Eric, throw your links in. Throw in Copper Coins. Throw in the Dark Side Facebook link.
I don't have it handy right now.
That's okay. I'll do it for you.
Yeah, just throw in Fun with Fakes because we're growing like crazy there now.
Okay, we'll do. I do have one other bit of information. You guys know that I was in the Navy and that I served at Pearl Harbor, and I got notification on Friday from a good friend of mine. He's a command master chief, that the last known survivor of the USS Arizona passed away. Yep, and he passed away at the age of 102. There are no more survivors from the USS Arizona. And again, having been stationed there, I have a very specific place in my heart for that place. And to hear that was it was kind of a somber moment. So again, to all those that served and have the desire to, if you're young and you thinking about doing it, it's a very honorable thing to serve and defend your nation. It doesn't matter if it's just U.S. You could be from Canada. You could be with the Royal Air Corps. You could be whatever service you're with, whatever country you're with. Defense of one nation stands really high in the respect level of my book. So, Lou Contier, I salute you, sir. Thank you for all the effort in the defense. But the last surviving member has passed away. All right, folks. Well, hey, I'm gonna go call you Mike real quick. Jack, Eric, thank you so much for today.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Absolutely enjoyed this. And I appreciate you all for being here and for all the support. Okay? All right, folks. Be well, be blessed. I love you guys, and I will see you in the streams. We'll see you next week.